Hi guys, hi everyone. My name is Tina, and in this video I'm going to share with you 15 tips that will help you to prepare in a short time frame for your Toefl exam. So it took me 2 months to prepare for the exam and score from 81, get myself to 102 points on the actual exam. So on my day one, I scored 81 points when I just took a sample test to see how am I doing before actually any test preparation. And it took me 2 months for between 4 to 6 hours a day. I wouldn't study on Sundays and would take it a little slow on Saturdays. But other than that, 4 to 6 hours a month. It was for 2 months. It was very painful. It was annoying. It was boring. It was exhausting. I was stressed. I hated it. But thanks God, I passed from my very first time. Maybe some people say I'm dumb that I spend so much time studying every day, or some will say I'm too smart to take in 2 months because, everybody's different. But I just wanted to make sure that I'm not going to fail, because I know people, I have friends that have taken the TOEFL exam 3 times and they still haven't scored 100. 100 points usually is the requirement for schools in the United States, for good schools in the United States. And those people that I know, they live in the United States, they have jobs and they speak, everybody can understand them, but they still couldn't score high enough. I wanted to make sure that I would not have to pay again, register again, and go through would be worse, go through this torture again and spend. Oh, this is very stressful, to be in front of the computer for 5 hours. I didn't want to go through that again. So thanks God, I scored 102 points on the exam. Here are my results. And as you can see, my high score was in speaking, and my low scores, 24 and 24, was on listening and writing. I probably could have scored higher on listening. Honestly, for me, the biggest issue was reading and writing. So I put most of my time, not most of my time, but I'd say 70% of my time into those 2 sections. Thing number 1, turn off your phone when you're studying. Turn off your fucking phone, throw it away, put it on airplane mode. You don't want to be distracted because it's going to take so much of your time and so much of your energy. Turn off your phone, don't be distracted. You are not in this world while you're studying, okay? Be fully focused. Thing number 2, I think it's pretty obvious, but I'll still say it. Clean up all your schedule and fully be committed to prepare for the exam. If you want to prepare in a short time frame, you don't want to procrastinate it for a year. Clean up all your schedule and dedicate at least 5 hours a day. 5 hours a day for studying. I'm saying 5 hours, not 4 hours, because probably out of 5 hours, only 4 are going to be effective between those, especially in the first 3 weeks, when you're going to be just getting used to that and getting comfortable, fighting this resistance of how difficult it is to do all those readings at a time. Only 4 hours are going to be really effective. Clean up your schedule, make sure that you have at least 5 hours a day to study for the TOEFL exam if you want to make it in 2 months. Thing number 3, take at least one time a full exam on ETS website to see what is your score right now. Take this exam before you start preparing to see to understand what you're dealing with, where is your weak points and how many points you need to gain. In my case, I needed to gain extra 19 points. I started with 81. 4, figure out where your weak points are and put 70% of your time into improving those weak points. So you have to find out what is the most difficult for you. Is this speaking section or reading section, or maybe it is a type of question in reading. Maybe you're doing fine in reading and you're always doing bad on open-ended questions, or I can't remember the types of questions, right? Or maybe some particular speaking question that you're always stumbling and umming, and you're always getting stressed and don't know what to say. For me, I found out that for me it was more difficult, the question number 4 and number 6. Their TOEFL open essay writings, those things were the most difficult for me, and I would always struggle with them. So I would start focusing much more time on those things of TOEFL exam. But still, don't forget to practice everything and all together too. Number 5. So from the very beginning, while you start studying of reading, don't like some tutors recommend you, okay, you just start reading and don't look at the clock. Doesn't matter. You have to just understand, and then slowly you reduce your time. Bullshit. You will just train your brain to this habit of taking longer time and taking it slow while reading, because it will be very hard for you to break this habit. So don't get into this mistake and take a lot of time when you're reading. From the beginning, just cut yourself, limit to 20 minutes. No matter what, limit yourself to 20 minutes. You have to train your brain. 20 minutes is the most you have for one passage. Don't hurt yourself, really. Just always doing 20 minutes. Just you have to train your brain from the very beginning, because change the routine is going to be much more difficult and very stressful. Don't ever take more than 20 minutes for each passage. Just maybe you have to understand where you're always making mistakes and which question is the most difficult for you. But don't develop a bad habit in reading passages. Never take more than 20 minutes. I think number 6, train yourself for 5 readings instead of 4. I talked about it in the previous video. Why? If you want to watch it, here's the link, you can watch it. Train yourself to take 5 readings at a time, not 4. Tip number 7, listen back. Oh, it's a great thing. Listen back to your responses to questions, to speaking questions, and practice them, the same questions again, and answer the same question again. Don't go to the next question. So answer the question, record your answer, listen to it, and then answer this question again. If the website that you're using have sample answers, read it, and then try again the question and answer it again. So listen to your responses. With time you'll understand where you tend to make ums and ums, where you tend to make mistakes, and what is taking you too long. Like in my case, I was putting too much time into introduction. So listen back to your responses. Thing number 8, make your own writing and speaking templates. Make your own that are going to be easy for you to remember, they're going to be grammatically correct, and that you know that no matter what, you'll remember, and those templates are going to make sense for you. They're easy to remember. Try to prepare at least introduction and conclusion, so that when you're on the test, you can just instantaneously already just knock down at least 50 words already, because you already have the same, doesn't matter what your essay is about, you already have the same introduction and conclusion. Thing number 9, if you have taken only 2 months to prepare for the exam, don't stress to get great into everything instantaneously. It's like building blocks, right? So for the first time, use templates in the first month when you're answering questions and writing essays. So here's a great thing. Be fine, like when you're practicing, you're just practicing. Use templates when you're answering questions. Like use those templates and answer questions looking at those templates. Same with writing. And with time, what you'll find out that you already, like, by just reading it all the time and looking at that, you already, like, your brain get used to it, and you won't even need to, sit down, especially take some time and try to remember or memorize those templates. Your head will remember it and will just be so stored by itself in your brain. So for the first month, it's fine. Use templates when you're speaking and when you're reading. Look at them, use them. And the second month, yeah, it's going to be tempting to look at them, but you'll feel more comfortable, more of a time using them less. You will just automatically remember the information, those words and sentences. Thing number 2, don't just focus on just practicing TOEFL exam. Use outside sources and exercises that are not related to TOEFL to improve your overall language, or the weaknesses to improve where you're bad at. So for example, if you're bad with vocabulary, go and find a website. I use Memrise website, where I've discussed in another video what websites I used to help me prepare for the exam. So don't just focus on just tests. Use other external websites to improve your grammar or your vocabulary, whatever your weak point is. Is it like maybe you're bad at coming up with ideas for TOEFL writings? And every day, just read sample TOEFL essays. Not just anything, but just read sample TOEFL essay. I bet at speaking, well, every day, try to speak out loud about something and record yourself and then watch it. Something like that, not even just related to TOEFL exams. Thing number 11, don't write too much when you're listening, and don't create this habit of writing too much, because while you're writing, we human beings, we can't really do 2 things at a time, good. If you need to do really well, you have to choose one thing. You can't do 2 things really well, and it's this thing, writing down and listening. You have to be focused 80% on your listening and only 20%, maybe even less, on what you're writing down. So try to write down as little as possible, and you have a listening section. Don't write too much, because you're going to get distracted with your writing, and if you don't write too much on your paper, you just get lost and confused what you wrote. I tried both, and in every single time when I would write too much, I would just get confused. And that's in fact what probably I scored on my listening part pretty low, is because I still did the same mistake and I started writing too much. Just really don't write too much when you have a listening part. And thing number 12, read 1 to 3 essays before you go to sleep. This is going to be your new routine. Hey, if you have limited amount of time and you're taking only 2 months or less to prepare for your TOEFL exam and you need to score at least 100 points or pretty high, you want to eliminate all the stuff that's not related to your TOEFL exam. That's the priority for your next 2 months. So no movies, no stuff that's not related to TOEFL, okay? What I would actually recommend, you can watch TED Talks. That's kind of a good language that is going to be much useful for TOEFL. Maybe TED Talks is not a bad idea to watch just in your free time. But really, read 3 essays, TOEFL essays before you go to sleep every night. That's going to be a new routine. I know what's your usual routine before you go to sleep. Is it go out and drink, or is it watch somebody's Instagram live, fancy life? For you, for the next 2 months or before, until you take the exam and until you get the score you want, every night read TOEFL essays. Get used to this TOEFL environment. Thing number 13. So thing number 13 is that I just mentioned at TED Talks. If you want just to like relax, or you're going for lunch, or you're taking a break here, I would really recommend watch TED Talks, any videos from TED Talks, because the language that they're using is really very much similar to the language in which you're expected to write and to answer on speaking part, and very similar to listening part. Really great conversations, and even you're gonna learn something interesting. TED Talks always have something cool, very smart people talking there. So this is academic language mostly that they're using. Thing number 14 is taking too long already. Start taking 1 full test a day. 2 weeks before the exam, you wanna stop studying and preparing. You wanna just start taking every day full test. 2 weeks before the exam, I would recommend. Maybe 10 days, the minimum, absolutely minimum. Just start taking tests, 1 full test a day for 2 weeks before the exam in a noisy room. Okay, noisy environment, because the exam is going to be in the room with other people. So in a noisy room every day, you're just taking a full exam. And the last tip number 15, find somebody who can review your essay grammar. Okay, it's a friend that is an English native speaker. I don't know, is it a tutor that's charging you just very cheap for reviewing your grammar essays? Really, you want to figure out and knock down all these grammatical mistakes that you could keep continually doing, or like find someone who can review your TOEFL writings. So it was Tina with 15 tips for TOEFL. Please leave comments and post questions. Let me know what you think, and I'll try to, I will reply to everybody. Absolutely. Thanks you, and good luck on your TOEFL exam.